Hamza, I'll come to you. 120 days in office. So if it were in another space, this would have been John Mahama's birthday.
Unfortunately, that is the birthday of the government.
Yeah.
Good morning to you once again, my senior comrade in the studio, and of course my brother Dennis Miracle Sabuaji, and our cherished viewers out there. It has not been an easy journey. You remember that when His Excellency President Mahama presented his first State of the Nation address, he took us through a rather troubling narrative of the economic crisis that we had inherited as a new government. We had most of our state agencies being run down, riddled with debts, like the likes of Cocoa Board, the Electricity Corporation of Ghana alone. I'm told today that the debt that we were left with is in the region of about 80 billion Ghana cedis. That government would have to find a way of retiring. We inherited a situation where, in fact, at a point, the country could not pay its debts, and that led to the introduction of the domestic debt restructuring program, and of course, restructuring of our debts with our external partners. Clearly, that indicated that this government was in crisis. On top of that, our external debt ballooned in excess of over 700 million Ghana cedis. So this was the nature of the economic situation that we inherited from the government. And even in the energy sector, my checks reveal that we are owing Asogli in the region of about $271 million. Then we are owing Car Power another $372 million. Then we have Send Power $423 million. In all, about $1.7 billion being owed to these independent power producers. And most of them have threatened to shut down. On top of that, they have had to draw down our $500 million World Bank guarantee, and also the Litasco guarantee of $120 million, largely because of the failure of the erstwhile administration to be able to deal with these issues. So clearly, it has left on our shoulders a very precarious energy sector. And that possibly explains why we have intermittent outages here and there. And the government is working around the clock to ensure that we find a lasting solution once more to the energy crisis. Because you agree with me that over the last 8 years is not like 8 days or 8 hours. Our friends failed to increase generation capacity. In fact, they did little to no investment in the energy sector. So all the excess capacity we left them after 2016 that they complained about, they were unable to manage, and they are unable to increase capacity in that regard. As we speak today, demand increase.
Including all the take-or-pay agreements you signed?
Yes, they renegotiate a number of them. And so if you look at demand in the energy sector today, at the time we were living at about 2,000 megawatts. Today, in about 8 years, increased to about 4,300, an increment of about 2,300 with no commensurate investment in generation capacity. So clearly, this government is dealing with a lot. But my brother, in the midst of all that, His Excellency President Mahama entered into a 120-day social contract with the good people of this country. And I'm happy to announce that in the midst of the challenges, we are confronting them, and we have done creditably well in that regard. Today, as we speak, we promise that we're going to run a lean government. His Excellency President Mahama has so far appointed 56 ministers in record time. We gave 2 weeks. All his cabinet ministers were appointed in a matter of 14 days. His Excellency President Mahama promised that within the 120 days, he was going to take out emissions levy, e-levy, and that of betting tax. That has been done. We promised the establishment of the National Apprenticeship Program. It has been launched in Tamale, intended to provide jobs for the good people of this country. We promised that we're going to launch the 1 million coders program. That has also duly been done. We promised we're going to implement what we call the Ejumaura program. It was launched, I think, 2-3 weeks ago in Kumasi in record time. We also promised the good people of this country that we're going to establish the Accelerated Export Development Corporation to at least take advantage of our exports in the country and manage it in such a way that we can rake in forex into the country. That was launched yesterday by His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama. So most of the promises we made in terms of the 24 promises for the intended to meet the 120-day contract has been so far dealt with. But I'm quick to admit that a number of them are still in progress. But if we are to score ourselves, I monitored City FM this morning, and I'm glad to report that they are even scoring us an average of 80% in terms of the promises we made. But we are so generous as a government, based on our own internal checks. We have decided to score ourselves, I think, about 72% so far. And that we know that even in the midst of all that, the Ghanaian people still expect a lot. We understand that many of our graduates are still out there looking for jobs. We also understand that many of our competitors out there still need support for their local businesses. This government will do everything within our power to ensure that we meet the genuine aspirations of the Ghanaian people. After all, that is what they elected His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama to do.
Thank you, Hamza.
And they can trust him to deliver on that.
Thank you, Hamza. Dennis, JDM, 120 days in office. Your own assessment.
Well, I mean, as expected, I'll stand on Council's earlier protocols. So he's greeted all of us.
Right.
I mean, as expected, we are surely saddled with a clueless and everlasting incompetent bunch of people. I mean, arrogant braggarts who have simply scammed the entire country and scammed their way to power.
Scammed.
So, clueless, everlasting incompetent, bunch of arrogant braggarts who have scammed their way to power. I mean, I say everlasting incompetence because this country is no longer surprised when the NDC government, led by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, is unable to really do anything. Because they have seen him before, and they are very much accustomed to his ways and the party's ways of doing things. And so you'd realize that we have basically lived in energy crisis for 4 months, and nobody really, because it's like we know him, like that is who he is. He is unable to handle energy situations when he has power. So the people are very much used to it. In the last 120 days, we've been saddled with endless lamentations, complaints from people who have been
Dennis, hold on for me. We need to check one or two things. I just want to bring an idea of what has been done, what is ongoing, and what is yet to happen, and then we can fully look at this. Okay, so I'm taking you to citynewsroom.com. We're looking at promises fulfilled. Okay. Story says among the major accomplishments is the swift nomination of a full cabinet. In line with his pledge for prudent governance, the administration has also formed a leaner government, reducing the number of ministers and presidential staffers. One of the most praised initiatives is the introduction of a code of conduct for appointees. Then the National Economic Dialogue has also happened. The National Education Dialogue has happened. The Tree for Life has happened. Blue Water has happened. No Fee Stress Initiative. E-levy, betting tax, emissions levy, COVID-19 levy. But COVID-19 is expected to be removed in the next budget. We've seen the launch of the 1 million coders program. We've seen the rollout of the Mahama Cares social protection framework, Jumera, free tertiary education for persons with disabilities, free sanitary pad, Blackstar experience, seed money for women, and a host of others. What we are yet to see is the removal of taxes on vehicles, and then the full commencement of the 24-hour economy. Michael, let me come to you on that. Your assessment of John Mahama's 120 days in office.
Okay. For me, I think we shouldn't just be looking at giving a score of 20, 40, 80% or 100%. I think we need to look at what is the value in the proposition before us in terms of the 26 items that were put to us. And when I went through them, out of the 26, I think that only 9 of them are really worthy of anything. The rest are largely symbolic and cosmetic. If you say you appoint your ministers within a short time, really what is the value to us? you have been given a mandate to run a country for the next 4 years. So there are things you have to do. The other question is, what happens if this 120, this 26 items are not done? What is the repercussion for him? Or is there any punishment? Is there anything? Really nothing. So for me, a lot of it is cosmetic, not much value to it. But when you look at issues like the Women's Bank, I say, what is that for? I mean,
you don't think it's of any value?
I don't think it's of any value. They are already existing banks. If you think that women are disadvantaged in terms of loans for business or for anything, you simply, through the Bank of Ghana, issue some directions for women to be given the preference that is required. I don't think this idea of creating another specialized bank for women is unnecessary, completely unnecessary. Then the issue of the accelerated exports thing. We already have Ghana Export Promotion Authority. So why are we setting up another authority? So for me, these issues where we duplicate agencies and all manner of things, one, we are increasing the burden on government in terms of administrative costs without any return to the people of this country. It's the same like creating more regions, creating more districts and all that. We are simply increasing the administrative costs to this country without any direct benefit to the people. So for me, a lot of these things are basically cosmetic. But to the extent that the issue of, how do you call it, this performance issue that has come up in terms of the code of conduct, I think that is an excellent document. The issue is that isn't there any history to this? Have previous governments put out such things? And how have we measured the performance of that government? So for me, that is one of the things that I'll pick as one of the things that is most important in the 120-day promise. So the next step is how we, the ministers and the public officers guided by this document, conduct themselves and how the public can assess them.
Very well, very well. Dennis, sorry about that earlier. We had to address a technical issue.
Council had to find a way
To sabotage you.
Now I've lost my
Apologies.
Come back, I trust you.
So, what US to get the better of you? We had to address that so as US
find a
can.
way from this mystery to catch up. I mean, honestly, I have never been a believer in this whole 100 days, 120 days thing, honestly speaking, because I mean, sometimes I think our politics just saddle us with certain things that we just have to deal with it anyway. Because I don't see what you're going to be able to do in 100 days. And that's why in the past 1 week, you see the government running to launch, just to tick the boxes. It's just to come and say that I've done 80%, 90%.
You know what they will say, and what's funny on the other side? Is that in your final days, you also rush to inaugurate and to commission.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's at least you are commissioning. You are not launching. But if you have, for example, if you have in your 120-day social contract that call for a national education consultative meeting, I mean, really, that's something that you can do in 2 hours and still take. So I really, but I think that in the last 120 days, the reality, not these theories, the reality is that we've been saddled with a group of people who have been disturbing our ears with lamentations and complaints. Almost all of them. It's as if the government came into office without a plan, without a strategy. It's almost beginning to look as if all the things they were saying, which was giving the Ghanaian people hope, that they were going to, or they were an alternative, or they had alternative solutions to some of our challenges, were just rhetorics. And that they really didn't have any concrete plan. So you listen to the cocoa board CEO, who is moving from one cocoa farm to the other with this leather chair. And the farmers tell him that you promised that specifically, that cocoa should be 6,000 per, and shouldn't be 3,000. Why haven't you done it? And then he says, since we came, we realized that there's a lot of mess in cocoa board, and the way cocoa board is a mess, it will be difficult for us to increase. So what was the indicators based on which you made that promise? It's a big worry. So I've been, in the past week, playing videos of the energy minister, what he said when he was ranking member, and what he's saying now as minister. And sometimes I feel very sad for him, because you listen to him and it's like he's debating himself. He's disagreeing with himself. Things that he said. Today, he's fighting those same things and saying that those things are not true, they cannot be right. And you ask yourself, but who are you disagreeing with? And you realize it's himself.
But now he's in power, and so he has a better appreciation of the prevailing conditions.
And that is an indication of what we should expect. That, for me, is my assessment of the 120-day period. That tells you that the government didn't come into office with a plan. They came into office on the back of lies, promises that they believed were going to sound nice in the ears of the voter, just to get the votes. Now you are struck with reality. And so in the past 120 days, at best, what I think they would have been doing would be to adjust to the reality of the day and now look out for ways to deal with the situation. I mean, I hear council say, we have decided to give ourselves 75. and I'm asking, how do you decide? You don't decide to give yourself marks or score. You don't take that decision.
You can't be judged and jury.
No, even those who will be doing their assessment, they will not decide to. It will be based on what you have done. And I look at some of the things, and you realize that the tangibles have not been done. If you look at it critically, and I'm not saying this, I mean, there are so many things I could hold the NDC on, but facts is what I'm stating. The things that would really push us, they have not been fulfilled. And you know why? Those things are difficult for you to do in 100 days, 120 days. So let's launch this. That has been done. Let's launch a Jumeirah. If you launch a Jumeirah, that is nothing. Okay, even as you did the launching, nobody knows where the funding is, whether the money is sitting down. Nobody knows. Let's launch 1 million coders. You can do it. So launch. Commence the development or commence the drafting of a policy for 24-hour economy. Really. How do we even know if you have commenced or not? You understand? You say you have, but you may probably not even have done it. We won't know. So I don't really think that we should really place, because if I look at it, first of all, the promises are actually 25, not 26 and not 24. The numbering, I think they got it wrong when they were doing it. So when you check, it's 24. And you realize that 25, right? And you realize that the number they have fulfilled are 11. 11 of those 25 promises are what they have fulfilled. And this is based on what they have written verbatim, not any dancing around. You say you will launch. Have you launched or not? Okay. You understand? You say you will implement stress-free fees. You didn't say you will launch stress-free fees. So if as of today, no Ghanaian first-year student has received stress-free fee, you can't tell me you have fulfilled it. You have launched it, but you said you will
schools were already in session when they
but you said you will do it in this academic year. That was the promise. And then when the minister was asked, he said they will refund. Have you refunded? So if school was in session, it means that you haven't done it. Right. Don't come and tell us that because you have gone to launch it. You said you will implement. And maybe I may be wrong, but English is quite clear. Implement and launch are two different things. So they have actually implemented or fulfilled 11, which gives them 44%. They have not fulfilled 12, which is 48%. And then partially fulfilled are 2. You see, if you have a line item in your contract that says you would abolish e-levy, emission tax, and COVID levy, and you leave COVID levy, it's partial fulfillment.
They said they will do it in the next
budget. But you haven't done it. Nobody knows whether you do it or not. Right. So it's partial fulfillment. You can't give yourself absolute, fulfillment. So we have done our own assessment. You can't, I mean, of course, when we are doing appraisal, sometimes you do your self-appraisal, and then you go and meet your superior, and then you do your, you balance it out. He will ask you, do you agree with this? Or, but really, the fulfilled are 11. And we can go through it if we have time. 44%. Partially fulfilled, 2, which is 8%. And then the proportion not fulfilled are 12, which is 48%. Honestly speaking, these numbers really mean nothing. You know why? Because if you say you would set up a lean government and you name the least number of ministers, the essence of the lean government is to cut costs in running government. And then you end up doubling and tripling the cost of running government against the previous government. You haven't done anything to us. So you have increased the budget for running office of government machinery from about 800 million to 2.7 billion. So if you have the smallest, even if you have 4 people as your ministers, and you are spending more on them, it really doesn't change much. Let me also tell you another thing about
other agencies have been brought into the office of government machinery. So budgets that they would have received as independent agents are no longer existent. Perfect.
So I agree. So if you merge ministries, okay, and you come and tell me you are lean, when indeed in the numbers you are more, I agree with you. There's no
But that
dispute.
will reduce the cost.
No, it doesn't. That is why you are spending more. It doesn't. That's why you are spending more. I'll give you a quick example. You see, sometimes we need to be real with the issues. Ministry for Information has ISD, has Ghana
GBC.
Publishing, GBC, all those things. Now you come to office and you say, I don't have a minister for information. I have a minister for government communication. So you create an impression as if you have scrapped a certain ministry. But in actual sense, the cost burden on the Ghanaian people when it comes to the previous Ministry of Information hasn't left. Because the ISD staff have not been fired.
Yeah.
The publishing, GBC, the Ministry for Information staff itself, none of them have been fired. So that cost still remains.
Exists.
What you have done at best is that one person who was the Minister for Information, his cost is what you have removed. But if you analyze it and you really run the numbers, you'd realize that it's of no effect. Because most of these ministries you said you've merged, the ministers were members of parliament. The difference between a member of parliament's income and that of an MP who is a minister was just about 2,000, 2,500 cedis. So in realism, you realize that you haven't done much. That is why I keep telling you that when you pick the budget and you look at the cost of running this government that is supposed to be lean, then you understand that it's of no effects or positive consequence on the people. That is fact. It is the numbers.
Right.
What you have done is that for the optics, you are counting less. But in terms of the amount you are spending on them, it is even same or more. And sometimes we shouldn't just deceive ourselves in that manner. It doesn't do us any good at all. I'm not one of those people that argue that, they've done some appointment behind the doors. Every government does those appointments, the committees and the staffers and all those things. But the fact of the matter is we should stop doing politics with these ministerial appointments then. So long as we continue to appoint ministers, majority of ministers from parliament, we really are not doing much if you merge ministries. The only time you'll be making any difference and that with a positive number impact on the country is when you actually fire the staff of that particular ministry you claim you have merged. But so long as those ministries exist, really you haven't done much. I think that what we are looking for are the actuals on the ground. Fix Dumso. We have slept in Dumso for 4 months, 4 out of 4. It's a worrying situation. We shouldn't do politics with it. Fix it. Just give us stable power.
Isn't it out of as a result of the state in which you left the energy
As
sector?
at the time we're handing power, we're in that state. Did you have Dumso?
Yes, we did.
Oh, in 8 years, we had energy crisis for 8 weeks. In 8 years, we had energy crisis for 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay, 8 weeks.
8 weeks.
That is fact. As at the time we're handing our power to you, we didn't have any energy crisis in this country. We didn't have Dumso. I haven't had power in my neighborhood for 3 days. Okay, I never experienced it in 8 years. So it's okay because you are very comfortable to come and sit on TV and say, oh, it's the same. It was there. The people who are experiencing it know.
They know.
That the kind of Dumso that the Ashanti region are experiencing is unbearable. Go to the industrial area. Some of the factories are beginning to run, a lean stuff because they can't have power. So what good is it to us if you remove 1% e-levy and you can't give us power? Even at the time when you cannot give us the power, you have increased it by 14%. So think about it. E-levy is by choice.
Yeah.
I can decide to walk and go and give my money to engineer.
Yeah.
But for electricity,
You have to pay.
you have to pay.
Once you're consuming.
Once you are consuming. And so you remove 1% levy and say, oh, clap for us. We've done well. We are going to use this to reduce hardship and make doing business easy. Then you come and increase electricity by 14%. So these things are things that we need to highlight. And get the government to say, listen, we need you to fix these things. I mean, when it comes to these things, I don't do politics with it because it affects everybody. All of us, we are all doing businesses. And when this thing goes down, we are all happy. Like I've seen the dollar and the CD. Yeah. I am excited because honestly speaking, if the dollar comes to 5 cedis, I am happy. The NDC will go to opposition in 2028 not because of the dollar. They are incompetent in so many other areas. So if they can fix Dumso and fix the dollar for us, we'll be happy. We won't say, oh, if they do it, no. There's so many ways that will knock them out of government.
Thank you, Dennis. Hamza.
You see, That is the beauty of politics. Unfortunately, when my brother was speaking, I had to remind myself that, look, this is Dennis Miraculous Abuaji, who for the last 2 years attempted to convince this country how well they had performed as a government. The same Dennis
was trying to convince us, or he was telling us what
he was trying to convince the good people of this country.
So it had not been done.
Absolutely. Because the people lived the experiences of the last 8 years. They lived the failures of his administration, or the administration of which he was part. They lived the 8 years of broken promises. You remember 1 district, 1 factory, $1 million per constituency? These lies that were cooked and championed by his boss, Dr. Mahama Bawumia, to hoodwink the good people of this country to win the 2016 election. You remember?
He says you are doing the same.
I'm getting there. So this is the same person today on television seeking to question the steps of His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, who is barely 4 months in office as President of the Republic of Ghana and has been given a 4-year mandate by the good people of this country. So if we are talking about a party that is known for breaking political promises, I think that the NPP, and especially Dr. Mahama Bawumia, will carry the day. Because Ghanaians know the level of dishonesty that he injected into the politics of our country. And on top of that, the brazen abuse of state power under their stewardship. Today, we have a government that is sincere enough to admit that even the rot that we thought that we were coming to meet is far more than we expected. Remember, this is a crime scene. Remember, these are the very people who cooked figures and were at loggerheads with the IMF. So how were we to know?
They've accused you of saying
the extent of the damage.
In the budget.
We have not. How are we to know? They were at loggerheads with the IMF in terms of even how they calculate their debt burdens. Strange calculations. So this is their record. And unlike them, we are a group of moderate politicians. And His Excellency President Mahama has lived it before and has that track record of experience. And so we will not look the Ghanaian people in the eyes and lie to them. And I've given you a clear example of what we did to confront Dumso. And for 8 years, in all his submission and dancing around, he failed to tell you a single contribution they made to increase our generation capacity. He failed around this table to challenge the debt burden of the independent power producers. And the fact that they had to rely on our World Bank guarantee of $500 million and $120 million to meet. That tells you the kind of party we are dealing with. But my brother, what do you expect? They have just lost power. They are still frustrated. They are still angry. And they must move on as a political party. And you don't expect him to sit around this table and commend His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama for living up to the dictates of his 120 social day contract. So the expected routine would be to poo-poo the sincere steps of the NDC. And I'm happy that Ghanaians know that. But on this table, the NDC will always have his version. The NPP will have his version. But the reality in terms of how far we have come with our 120-day social contract is out there. Those of you in the media, you become the arbitrators in this particular issue. You can determine whether indeed what the NDC is saying or not. Not the figures I'm churning out, not the 46% he's churning out. And I have made reference to your own 44 you are churning out.
2% is significant.
The 2% is very significant. Yeah.
So you see, you can decide not to take my figures. You may decide not to respect his figures. But you, as an independent media house, ChannelOne, you have done your own assessment of the 120-day contract. And on your website, CTFM, you have indicated that you are scoring the government 80%. That is you. It is not the NPP's marks. It is not the NDC's marks. I have told you that based on the 25 promises we made,
it's based on what was promised and what has been done.
What we have achieved.
Let's go.
As a government, our statistics, yeah, we can go to that. I have it before me. Our statistics puts us at 72% completion based on our own assessment, because we can also do the computation. And I have it before me. And later today, His Excellency President Mahama will be engaging the nation and making a presentation of how committed we have been as far as that 120-day social contract is concerned. My brother is asking what is the value or significance.
Exactly. I was going to ask you about that.
You see, one of the fundamental problems we had in this country over the last 8 years was because the NPP government led this country into a state where the good people of this country lost confidence in the political class. They simply could not trust the political class again. So such novel introductions is an important way of engendering trust, especially for a new government. Because if the people actually see you being committed to the very things that you said you would do in your 120 days, it gives them the confidence that indeed this is a leader we can trust. And we have argued, even before the assumption of office, that President Mahama is a trustworthy character that needs the support of the good people of this country. So for us, it means a lot.
Right.
Because it is part of building back confidence in our political class. Again, my brother questioned the relevance of the Accelerated Export Development Council. I can understand your frustration. Even at the manifesto level, these concerns about the duality of that
exactly,
institution
because there's an authority
with the Ghana
with the same
Promotion
mandate.
But those arguments were raised, even at the committee level. Many of our people had issues. But at the end of the day, it was agreed that that particular council was necessary. It is not coming to compete with Ghana Export Promotion Authority. It is coming to complement largely because of the agenda President Mahama has when it comes to the agriculture sector.
So then a secretariat could have been set at the
It's more or
authority.
less like a secretariat. That is why it's a council. It's not an authority. It is not an authority. And so we are looking at how it can complement the president's agricultural drive when it comes to taking the full benefits of the agricultural sector. So this is a government that has a workable plan. And for the last 120 days, like we have enumerated, we have implemented a number of them, including things that we did not capture under the 120-day social contract. You remember Hajj Fest? Under his boss, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who pleaded with the Muslim community in this country in 2016 to send him to the Flagstaff House to represent Muslim interests. Hajj Fest were in the region of 75,000 Ghana cedis. Today, under a Christian president and a Christian vice president, Hajj Fest has been brought down to about 62,000 Ghana cedis. And my checks indicates that we have had a shot up in the number from about 4,000 doing pilgrimage last year to 6,000 Ghanaians now queuing to do it. That is monumental. And that builds trust. That tells you that we are dealing with a president who is trustworthy. That tells you that we are dealing with a president who is committed to implementing the promises that he said he would do. You see, another important thing we take for granted in this country is the issue of corruption. We all know that the last 8 years we were saddled with a litany of corruption scandals. Indeed, even the first 100 days of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, when he first won in 2017, we were dealing with the Mubumpina contaminated fuel saga in a matter of 100 days. Stinking corruption. That same presidency, if you remember, we had situations where Delta forces, vigilante groups associated with the New Patriotic Party, besieging our courts, chasing judges in Kumasi who were let to go scot-free. That was a kind of lawlessness that was injected into our body politic. Again, we had to deal with an international embarrassment that has serious consequences on the international image of the Republic of Ghana. Remember the plagiarized speech His Excellency President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo delivered at the Independence Square? So you may look at these things to be intangibles, but it has serious repercussions because it reduces the image of this country internationally. Today, you have a president who is leading a government, and for 120 days, you are unable to make references to allegations of corruption. Today, you have a president who even within the 120 days, instead of bringing the international image of this country down, rather went out of his way to engage the Sahel states and strategically positioning the Republic of Ghana, once again to be respected within the African continent and the international community as whole. As a whole. That is the mark of a true leader. That is a mark of a leader who is actually committed to transformation. So I can understand, because my people know, Dennis and Co, they are fully aware that where we are going, of course, they are citizens of this country.
So they are your people.
Of course, we as an NDC government, we cannot accommodate all. They know that where we are heading towards, it is because...
No, there are people.
They know that where we are heading towards, it is going to be very, very difficult for the Ghanaian people to give the NPP any mandate as far as this fourth Republican Constitution is concerned.
You are casting them into perpetual opposition.
That is what we are committed to do, and we are not going to do it. Our work will do it, and if the Ghanaian people are satisfied with the work that we are doing, I'm pretty much convinced that the Ghanaian government the Ghanaian people will give us the necessary mandate to ensure that we meet the... And final, please, just under a minute. You see, we are dealing with a political party that for 8 years failed to manage the economy of our country. And even in opposition, their legendary incompetence is staring all of us in the face. Even the internal management of their own party activities. What haven't we seen the last few days? That tells you the kind of incompetence that presided over the Republic of Ghana, the kind of arrogance and vigilantism that was injected into our body politics. Thankfully, we have a gentleman in the person of President John Dramani Mahama, who even leading members of the NPP respect for his intelligence, emotional composure, and trustworthy nature.
Thank you.
And I can assure you, the good people of this country, that unlike them, we are not saying that we'll resolve all the problems in a matter of 120 days, but we can assure them that we are dealing with a leader who is committed to leaving a legacy, because he appreciates that this is his last term. And so we'll do everything within our power to meet the aspirations of the Ghanaian
Thank you, Hamza. I've checked on our website. I'm not seeing the 80% score. What is there is a breakdown of what has been delivered and what is yet to come.
The man is giving himself...
I listen. No,
so I'm not surprised.
So that's on my way here.
You said website.
I listened to it. Yes, he quoted it from the website.
But on the website, we have...
You can call him and put him online.
We have a breakdown of what has been delivered and what is yet to come.
You are in the people's home. You are debating.
We didn't score
in their own home.
No, but he said that he has
I haven't heard him. I couldn't listen to him.
So I can bring him on this.
Yes, but because let me come to you. I mean, the people are doing their own thing. One is accusing one of everlasting incompetence. The other is accusing the other of legendary incompetence. But I mean, you sit here as the bridge in between, right? The 120 days, you think for you significantly is just the code of conduct that stands out?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the things that stands out for me. And I think that, again, most of these things, we need to look at them dispassionately. Trying to justify why we are setting up an accelerated exports council, why we need to say we are going to set up a women's development bank, why we need to put 120 days giving out pampers. I mean, for me, we need to look at substantive issues when we are looking at managing a country. And that is why I'm a bit disappointed with the items that are clearly listed. And I say, for me, only 9 of them are significant. Now, here in this country...
Out of the 9 that are significant to you, how many have been delivered, if you check?
Out of the 9, I haven't done that careful analysis, but clearly quite a number of them have not been delivered, especially the issue of mining law, those... the
repeal of the airline.
Exactly. Right. Then when you look at the issue of... how do you call this one? The other one that has to deal with corruption, the corruption-related issues and things like that, they have not been comprehensively dealt with, except to say we have initiated, we have done this and that. Look, the National Identification Authority was set up in this country. Why couldn't we have given this role to the Births and Deaths Registry? Instead of setting up another authority which becomes a drain on national, and yet the people of Births and Deaths, look, I had this debate when this thing was mooted during the President Kufuor era. I had a debate with a minister, and all he said was, look, the Births and Deaths Registry is not efficient, so we'll create another. I said, to what end? Because we, the public, are still paying these people.
Right.
So why do you need to set up another? So it's the same argument that I hear my friend making here again, that, the Accelerated Development Export Council is just a desk or a secretariat. we are increasing the cost of the public purse, increasing the burden on the ordinary taxpayer. And for me, these are the things that every single government needs to sit down and look at critically. Now, we talk about the Mahama, there's a Mahama Care program in there. Yeah. Again, I say, why should we be naming a government thing as a Mahama or a president issue? For me, these are things that if he had done when he was not president, that would be good.
But the Mahama Care is not the actual name.
Yeah, but you see, when you target that way, it becomes too political. You understand? You should do it when you are not in government. Or when you are exactly when you are a former president, say I'm eating some, because then what it leads to is a bit of what I'll call blackmailing corporate people to come and donate to a tagged political thing, which for me is not helpful. And we must be careful not to make it as if we have elected people and we are paying them to work for us, and yet they are making it look as if it is out of their benevolence that they are governing this country. And for me, those are things that we shouldn't accept in this country. When he becomes former president, he can decide, oh, I want to do a Mahama Care program. That is fine. But when you are instituting things out of his own philanthropy, but not when you are in government, you are naming the things Mahama Care or tagging it as Mahama Care. For me, those things are disingenuous, and I think that we shouldn't be accepting some of those things. So duplication of existing government agencies doesn't help anybody. Any of the governments, NDC, NPP, should tell us how the increase in regions, how the increase in district assemblies has favored the people of this country. They should tell us in the last 30 years that we have run this country, how have those increased, except for the political elite who become ministers, district chief executives and all that, who has it benefited? These are the tangible questions we should be asking. And when we begin to continue to create government machinery like that, what it leads is we can't have long-term planning and development. You create a region, today I have a region, then the next day is split. So long-term planning is lost. So for me, these are things that we need to continue to look at without political lenses. But I can see that my two colleagues are already campaigning for 2028. Look, we have a country to run, and we have deliveries to the people.
Government is not serious.
Dennis, let's wrap up the conversation on the 120
You know,
and zoom in on the code of conduct.
I would simply take from where engineer left off. Listen, you are the government. Stop lamenting. I mean,
you there to do
Hamza
the work.
spent 90% of his time referring to MPP, even to the extent of going to MPP internal. Listen, we can fight. It's our home matter. No, it is not. It is. Oh, I beg you.
But we are interested in your home matter.
No, you see, for you as a government, let it be your secondary issue.
You have work to do, so focus on your
listen,
work.
as we speak this morning, people's cold stores have been shut down. People have been opening their offices. There are corporate institutions that the staff have reported, but they are standing on the compound waiting for diesel to be brought in because of Dumso. You know, and you come and tell me that because I was in power 8 years ago, I shouldn't speak. The things I speak of, which of them are lies? Are we not going through Dumso? Look into the camera and tell the people that Miracles is lying. There's no Dumso. And then when you step out, they will shake your hands. Don't we have escalated Galamsey? You remember a week ago when I came here and I was telling you Galamsey has gone up. Council said, oh, no, it hasn't. No. You had the TUC say it to the president's face.
At the May Day celebration.
That Galamsey has worsened in 120 days. Yesterday, one of the chairman for one of the, I think the choir also, one of the NDC chairman in Ashanti region, the mine that the national security has gone to take over, and they are reported to be mining illegally in that mine. The chairman called into the national security. The national security, he speaks about corruption. And I don't know what his definition of corruption is. That if you have a situation where it is reported that the national security has gone to take over a mine and left gunmen at the premise, and now the gunmen are the ones mining, I don't think there is any corruption that beats that one. You know, and this is happening in your 100
smart Mickey mining concession.
Yes, and it's happening in the 117th day. That time it wasn't even 120th, 117th day.
3 days shy.
And you are telling me that because I was in government 8 years ago, I shouldn't talk? Like,
no, you were in government for 8 years.
Yeah, so I shouldn't. So I shouldn't speak. So I shouldn't speak. So the things that are prevailing now, are they lies? What have you done about them? Why did you send your boys to
remnants of your 8 years? That's what
we sent national security boys to go and take over somebody's mine and mine with guns. They are remnants of our work. Remnants of our work kept the power on for 8 years, and the day we left, power went off. Were you not in this country when the minister and the president came to announce to all of us that they've set up a committee to go and get oil and gas?
Because the minister said you didn't leave them enough reserves.
Perfect. We never left you, but the entire period we were in office, you had power. You see, there's something that the Ghanaian people are interested in. They don't care about the complaint. Give them power, no matter what it takes. We gave them power irrespective of the challenges. Why are you lamenting? There was debt. When we came to office, as at August 2017, energy sector debt was about $2.1 billion.
And you increased it to how much before?
3 billion. We added 900 million. So you left 2.1. We added 900 million. There's a big difference. In spite of that, we kept power. You see, there's a big difference. You left us with a debt of $2.1 billion. I'm not the one saying it. Minister John Jinapo is the one quoting. And then we left the debt at 3 billion. So we added $900 million.
Yeah.
Listen, the Ghanaian businessman doesn't care if you add 2 billion. Give him power. Accumulate 3 billion. Give him power. If you pay all the debts and he doesn't have power, it's a zero-sum arrangement for him. You haven't done that. And you spend all your time sitting on TV referring to the previous government. You knew the previous government had these challenges, and yet you went around, making lofty promises. Today you come and sit here on TV and you are telling the Ghanaian people that, it is now that we have opened the books and realized that, hey, the NPP government was at loggerheads with IMF. We are loggerheads, but they gave us a deal.
Very well.
We are loggerheads, but they gave us a deal. And that now we are seeing the things. So the things we told you, please, we beg you. We didn't mean those things. Now we are seeing the reality how we're going to deal with this. The fact of the matter is that we're in office for 8 years. You have been in office for 120 days. And yet, Galamsey has gone up. Dumso is striving. You have terminated appointment and employment of Ghanaian citizens, running into about 35,000 people who are in the public sector. And these are things that you cannot run away from. The fact is that it's 120 days. We're in office for 8 years. We brought e-levy. You told the people that when you come, you remove the e-levy. In 2024, we reduced electricity tariffs. You have come to office. After you promised to remove e-levy, which is 1%, you take it off and you introduce 14% utility. That one is fact. Whether I was in office for 12 years or 25 years or 30 years, it doesn't change the fact that you have burdened the Ghanaian businessman today. And he's paying 40% more than he used to pay like 3 months ago. So those are facts that you should be humble.
Enough to accept.
You don't speak to us like that. We have given you the mandate. Show us some respect. Because we are going through it. This government shouldn't pretend as if all is rosy. When I hear them speak, it breaks my heart. They make us feel like everything is okay. You saw the teachers who were kneeling by the roadside when the president convoy was passing, and they were begging. These guys used to point fingers at us when we went through the DEP and said that pensioners were picketing. And for them, they are bringing gold onto the road. Why are the teachers kneeling down? It's been almost a week. You haven't done anything about it. You said you were going to bring 133, and that every job in this country, you would make 3 people work for it. The one that you didn't create, the one that you came to meet, you have sacked them. You haven't added 1. You haven't added 2. Those that are working, you have sacked them. Those are the realities. And these are wicked things you have done in 120 days. So you can imagine what you will do in 8 years.
You fear for the future.
But it is obvious. That's why I use the word everlasting. You know why? Because they have a record. The president has been in office for 4 years before. And we know what he did. Tell me one different thing he is doing since he's been in office. In fact, what the president is doing better over what he did previously is that he has learned crafty ways to go around the things. Today, he's showing his people how to whitewash corruption and how to whitewash bribery. You come and display vehicles on TV, showing your communication minister presenting keys to the chief of staff and say the president is donating this vehicle to the state and that he received them as gifts from private people. Why did you not receive this gift when you were in the opposition? Which private person brought you, the president, a car? Why is a president receiving gifts?
You think you should have rejected it?
If today I decide to go and give President Mahama iPhone 17, would he take? I have a car I want to donate to President Mahama. Would he take? Why are you taking it? Why didn't you add the names of these people and the reasons why they brought you the vehicle? How do we know that you are not mortgaging our future for these people who are giving you gifts? And to be very honest, these are legitimate questions. This is not me, Miracles, asking these things.
This falls under the
Think
code of
about
conduct.
it. No, think about it. That a president says, I've received vehicles as gifts. Why did those people bring you these gifts simply because you are president? What are they looking for? These people who brought you these vehicles as gifts, if tomorrow they come to you to do something for them, how are you going to refuse them? Are you not encouraging your ministers and your agency heads to also be receiving gifts? So if the person receives 3 vehicles and he presents one to the state in video, how do we know? So you see, we need to be serious and let this government knows that your grace period is fast eroding and that you cannot continue hiding under grace period. And I don't know, I want to be careful with the words. Maybe misbehaving there. You can't hide under grace period and continue to misbehave. Because some of the things they are doing is misbehavior. You understand? And you know what they do? They are blackmailing the entire country with NPP. Immediately you call them out. Because of course they know that our bad will is high. Immediately you call them out, they come to NPP. NPP this, NPP that, NPP this, NPP that. Yes.
So it's just a politics of comparison.
That's why we lost elections. We lost the elections
Admittedly.
because the people thought that our strategy towards fighting Galamsey was poor. You promised them 5 specific things you would do. Do it. Stop referring to NPP. NPP lost power because you told the people that DDEP was a bad thing. Fix it. You understand? So for me, if you come and you are referring to NPP, you know why they do that? Because they know that still our people get some small anger about NPP. So when they do that, then it stirs up the sentiment and emotions in the people, and the people don't pay attention. But these guys, they are showing a lot of incompetence. Engineer rightly mentioned the 120-day social contract they gave us. Do you know the ones they have implemented? The lunch. That's the ones they've done. The real concrete things that they indicated they would do in 120 days, they haven't done them. Those are the ones they haven't done. But of course, because the goodwill is there, nobody is paying attention. Today, cement has moved from 85 cities to 130 cities. Even that, you can't find it to buy. If you like step out and say you want to buy cement, you can't get some to buy.
No, they don't have clinker to produce.
Exactly. You understand? And cement prices are going up. In 120 days, cement price has gone up over 45 cities. Of what good is it to us if dollar comes to 1 cedi and cement price goes up? Of what good is it to us if dollar comes to 1 cedi and the prices of everything goes up?
Right.
So they need to take us serious and begin to realize that we have given them a serious mandate to fix our situation. And stop referring. Today you are here, tell us what you have done, and you're talking about NPP internal fight. When before them were writing letters and protesting about Mahama. Were we not in this country?
Very well.
Were we not in this country where Mr. Kojo Bonsu were fighting Mahama? Were we not in this country where Mahama was paying bribes to delegates for them to vote for him?
He's paying bribes.
But he released a statement to indicate that he's paying every delegate some 40 cedis or something.
That's not bribe. He's helping with transportation.
That's why I'm telling you that these guys, you see, you are whitewashing bribery. You are whitewashing bribery. Somebody is going to
He
vote.
told us specifically where the money was from.
Is he the party chairman?
He's assistant.
Is he he was a candidate? Is it the candidate that pays for transportation for delegates to go and vote? Is it not party? Why didn't he give it to the party? For the party to organize their contest? You understand? But like I'm saying, and I keep saying it, let's give time. Right now, they are enjoying. Hey, as I'm speaking, somebody is even angry at me. But it doesn't change the fact that the guys have moved cement to 130.
Very well. I'll take a few messages and then we'll go on a quick break and come back and continue. This one is from Master Planner Junior from Kintampo. He says, President Mahama's 120 days in office is nothing but doomsday, mass sacking of workers, unnecessary attacks on former government appointees, escalating galamsey, cocaine transshipment, among others. These allegations you're making. Cancelling 1% levy but increased electricity tariff by 14 and water by 4. Consistent and preserved incompetent government. That this is the most ineffective government in the history. It's just 120 days in office, my brother. Cool down. Okay, this one says, these NPP people have no shame. Hearing Miracle's opening remarks, I feel sad. With the corruptions in his 8 years, which every Ghanaian can see and feel, he still has the courage to point accusing fingers at the NDC. What is the reality he's talking about? His government powered up debts everywhere. The NPP must be ashamed of themselves. This one says, good morning, panel. Let Abuaji know, referring to Dennis, of course, that what President John Mahama achieved in 120 days is far better than NPP 8 years in power. A tiny amount of diamond is more valuable than a truck loaded with stones. Nelson from Australia. Miracle, someone says you are lying. He says there was doomsday throughout 2024.
even to the election. And in fact, it's only Nana Addo's government under the Fourth Republic that maintained Dumsor to election time.
Okay. Babe, I'm not the only one watching.
Right.
So
This one said, good morning. Let miracles understand this. Anything
nice.
that will hurt and cause them pain is what we will continue to do. Pain on pain. 120 days of good governance. Nuti Fafa from Aflao texting us there. This is Breakfast Daily, the news review segment. Stay with us. When we come back, we'll continue the conversations with Hamza, Dennis, and Michael. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is Breakfast Daily here on ChannelOne Television. We're having an interesting conversation here in the studio. Michael Kosidede is here. He's an engineer. Dennis Miracles Abuaje is the campaign spokesperson for Dr. Bawumia in the lead up to the 2024 general elections. And then we have Hamza Asuini, a member of the NDC's communications team. Hamza, I'll come to you and then we'll wrap up the conversation regarding the 120 days and the code of conduct.
You see, when my brother was speaking, I had to struggle to hold back my laughter because he knows that the Ghanaian people still remember the mess they left. You see, so that was why he was quick to say
this
that.
is what you keep saying. You're going back to the
You
NPP.
don't determine.
You're going
what
back
I
to
say.
the NPP.
No.
You don't
I'm
talk to a
can I
taxpayer
make
in
a
that
point?
manner.
Can I make a point?
The government might not talk to a taxpayer.
Can I make a
I'm
point?
sorry. I'm sorry. The way he's talking to you as a taxpayer, I'm worried. He's in government. He needs to be cautious.
You see, when he was talking about, when he wanted to criticize, you see that he had to dance around the issues. Oh, I know that we still have bad will, because in truth, he knows the extent of the anger of the Ghanaian people on their government or their party. And the fact that people even question whether they should have the moral authority to be speaking. He knows that internally. These are the facts. And we know what they left. And like President Mahama stated, we are not here to lament. He's questioning the contribution of the reduction of ministers. And then Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, we're dealing with 110 ministers. That meant substantive ministers and their deputies.
Right.
Look, most of them were drawing salaries. They were entitled to two vehicles, a V8 and a Land Cruiser. They were paying for their accommodation, were paying for the water and electricity that they consume. So you simply cannot begin to downgrade or downplay the implications of the savings that this government is doing by running 56 ministers so far, as far as the 120-day contract is concerned. You simply cannot do that. Per hour mathematics, remember, we told you that that was enough. The savings that we're going to make was enough to fund the no academic fee stress policy. And that is why we have implemented it. And 500 million has been released to the Student Loan Trust Fund to go ahead with the disbursements. And he talks about the fact that whatever we have said that we are going to do is built around qualitative measures. When we removed emissions levy, was the impact qualitative?
The emissions levy was never implemented.
You know,
it was never implemented.
You
I'm
don't
supplying you
like
with
this
information.
thing. No, but you don't like this.
Let
When
me
I
help
want to
you.
supply you with information, you don't accept.
Sorry.
So now, e-levy. E-levy. Was it qualitative? Ghanaians have stopped paying e-levy. Betting tax. Our young guys out there who are engaged in betting as an industry. Is that qualitative? And these were the promises we made. Undoubtedly, some of them are equally qualitative, but it is needed, like I indicated, to ensure that we work on confidence that they succeeded in eroding over the last 8 years. And he's talking about Dumsor. Remember that even in the heat of the election, Ghanaians were chasing their running mate, Napo, to publish a Dumsor timetable.
That was in May 2024.
Because Ghanaians understood that this country was struggling.
For 8 weeks.
And because
the
of the
CSA period. That was before the election.
What he said.
That was before the election.
I'm telling you that prior to the elections,
Right.
this was the issue.
2023.
That was the situation. But that was in 20. Was it not in 2024?
I'm sorry.
Was it not in 2024?
It was.
So clearly, they were having to deal with issues of Dumsor because they failed to invest in the sector like the NDC and the John Dramani Mahama did. They depleted our capacity that we had invested that led to excess capacity in the last 8 years without contributing zero.
Right.
And because they were having to deal with elections, they were forced to run our generating capacities beyond its limit, and they were not even servicing the system, knowing that if they joked with the power crisis, they were likely to lose power. So this is how they manage our energy sector. And we have had to deal with the mess. And when I make references to this, it has nothing to do with complaints or lamentation. Like I indicated, our job as a new government, and His Excellency President Mahama made that in his State of the Nation address, our job is to fix the problem. And we have a 4-year mandate with the good people of this country. And I can look them in the eyes and say that His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama will resolve most of the challenges that we inherited in record time. And by the end of his tenure as president, this country once again would be brought back to its pride of place.
Thank you.
So that we can begin to have discussions that would further expose the incompetence that we were cursed with under the leadership of Nana Addo Dankwa.
Thank you, Hamza. Thank you, Hamza. Thank you, Hamza. But speak to me on the matter of the removal of the CJ. 2 issues from the dismissal of the injunction application by Vincent Ekwasafwa and the issue regarding the minority leader and the subsequent invitation by the police to assist in investigations into that viral video.
You see, I think that we have exhausted this topic. For us, as a government, we are concentrated on fulfilling the social contract that we have with the good people of this country. The judiciary...
Does that include the removal of the CJ?
Absolutely not.
It does.
Absolutely not. But if that is what the good people of this country are demanding, and investigations reveal that indeed Justice Tokono is culpable, be rest assured.
The 3 petitioners don't represent the whole of Ghanaians.
No, you cannot say that. Then the Constitution in its wisdom would have put a number on the number of petitions that would have surfaced to take out the Chief Justice. The Commission said petition. The Constitution says petition. So even an individual could be favored with a constitutional responsibility to act on behalf of all of us.
As an individual.
Yes, because the Constitution allows that.
Right.
So if there's merit, that is why you set up a commission to handle it. So if there's merit in the petition, and it is done in the name of the state, not in the name of that particular individual. So that's why I'm telling you that as a government, we are focused on delivering when it comes to the social contract we have with the people, we had with the good people of this country going into the last election. And that is our focus. We advised our people, our brothers, to go to court. I think that they have decided to take that invitation. So today, we are dealing with separation of powers. And of course, there are checks and balances when it comes to even the separation of powers. The judiciary is engaged in handling the matter. As a government, we are precluded from interfering with the activities there. So let them engage the court processes. Nothing has changed. That was the court system they left us. His Excellency President Mahama, the Supreme Court judges that he has appointed, none of them has had the opportunity of being vetted and so on. These are appointees of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo that they are there battling with the exception of Tokono, who has been suspended. And remember, in the not too distant future, the likes of Miracles used to tell us to go to court. The same institution is there. The judges appointed by them, they are those manning the system now. President Mahama has not appointed a single judge to the Supreme Court yet. Clearly.
He's only made nominations.
He's only made nominations. So let them go to the same courts that they were so convinced was equipped with the legal authority to resolve challenges. Those courts are there, the judges are there. And if today, the same judges have sat on a case and have come to the conclusion that indeed they cannot interfere with the constitutional mandate of His Excellency the President. So for that matter, they cannot inject him. What is the big fuss about that? Remember around this table, I told you that as a practitioner, it is common knowledge that when the President is engaged in his constitutional obligation, you cannot place an injunction on him. And it has been stated in a litany of cases. So I was surprised that they were seeking to injunct President Mahama from following the dictates of Article 146. And I stated that strongly here. If you look at the NPP versus Gerald Rawlings, even 93 onwards, the principle was laid. In the Charlotte Osei removal case, the Supreme Court had cause to indicate that you cannot interfere through an injunction when it comes to the constitutional, what's the name? Administrative performance of His Excellency President Mahama. They did not listen. They thought otherwise. Again, they have gone to the same court, questioning the power of His Excellency President Mahama to suspend the Chief Justice, awaiting the outcome of the Commission's work. Again, the same court that they used to tell us to go to has reasoned and concluded that they have no such powers, and for that matter, they cannot order His Excellency President Mahama to put on hold the suspension that was given out. So the NPP is fighting with the same judiciary it instituted. And interestingly, Alfred Dami, who not long ago,
Godfred
Dami, who not long ago was the leader of the bar, is today before the very institution that he built for 8 years. It has nothing to do with the NDC. And he's at loggerheads with them. And remember what Tokono told us?
What did she tell us?
The law
is the law.
Is the law. Let the MPP go and have their time in court. Let them engage with the processes. And I am glad that they cannot be raising issues of abuse or bias.
Dami wanted the acting CJ to recuse himself. He thinks he's a beneficiary of the case.
How is he the beneficiary? The man, Paul Bafo JSC, is the senior most Supreme Court judge on the bench. He has been appointed, he has been given the role of acting CJ.
Yeah.
Because that is what our law says. If the CJ is not in place, the most senior judge automatically becomes acting. So it doesn't even require the power of the president to make that determination. The fact that Justice Paul Bafo is the acting CJ does not mean that he would be the substantive CJ in the event that Tokono's suspension is upheld and eventually removed from office.
Yeah.
Have you forgotten that under President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the retired Justice Atuguba acted as acting Chief Justice? Have you forgotten?
Yeah.
Before the appointment of Sophia Akufo JC.
Yeah.
Did that make President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo confirm Justice Atuguba as a substantive Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana? So what are they talking about? And in any case, I have demonstrated again around this table in a litany of cases where it has been established that when it comes to the administrative functions of the Chief Justice, whether Chief Justice or acting, you simply cannot be raising issues of natural justice. It's been established in a line of cases. It's part of our judicial system. What's the name? What's the name? Legal system. It's established. The same Supreme Court. So you simply cannot say that, okay, because he's now been given Chief Justice and he's acting, he should not sit on the case. The same courts have held in the past and continue to defend that when it comes to the administrative functions of the Chief Justice, the principles of natural justice do not apply.
Very well.
And so this strange legal gymnastics being adopted by my good friends is quite surprising to us. But again, the courts are there.
The law is
we
the
have
law.
not put in place a single judge.
Right. They should deal with it.
These are the people they appointed for the good people of this country. They are those still manning the judicial system. Let Godfred Dami and the NPP, and possibly with the support of Dr. Muhammadu Bawumia, go and deal with the legal processes. And if they are successful, they can rest assured that His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama would respect the outcome of any court decision, even if it goes against the interests of his government or that of the National Democratic Congress, because we are true Democrats. Indeed, the fourth Republican Constitution is our baby. And so we would go outside our way to protect the sanctity of that Constitution and our democratic process. And it is not for nothing.
Thank you.
That even in our anthem as a party, we ingrained it and indicated that we shall develop this country and lead it from what? Victory to victory. The NDC shall build a stable democracy.
Thank you, Hamza.
So
Thank you.
we would not be
The is also
Thank you. Let me come before I come to you, Dennis. But see, on the matter of the removal of the CJ, this court case, and then that of the minority leaders issue with the police.
No, on the removal of, is it the removal or the
suspension of
the ruling of the court?
Yes, which has dismissed the injunction application by Vincent.
No, I think, like I said the other day, I think that we must allow due process to work. In that, once there's a process in the Constitution which says if a Chief Justice, if there's a petition, these are the processes that will be followed. Let's allow that process to go on, and then the ruling of the court itself again confirms that this is the process that is being followed, and therefore there should be no interference with the process. So I think it is important that we, as Ghanaians, accept the things that we have put into our Constitution and begin to test them, so that in the near future, the Constitution becomes more robust when there's going to be a review and issues like that, so that we don't keep looking at it and say, but this is strange, it's never happened before, so let's not do it. It's there, so let's follow through. I would want to look at the other issue of, let me bring this in the code of ethics quickly, because I think that corruption, the fight against corruption begins with transparency. So I'm particularly excited that this document has been made available and is public. So people can look at it and say, yes, this is available. And therefore, it will inform us as Ghanaians how to see our ministers and people conduct themselves. And I also think that our ministers must pay particular attention to this document. They must read it carefully and understand how they are expected to conduct themselves in public and with their other ministers and the judiciary, and because it provides quite a broad guideline. My other comment is that the issue of gifts needs to be further improved.
Right.
One, because when you set a limit of 20,000, yes, it may look good now, but the question is, if their salaries get increased, what happens? So I think that the issue of gifts must be related to the person's income in terms of a certain percentage. You say that if you receive a gift of this percentage of your income, this is what must happen. So that threshold must not just be set as 20,000, but it must be set as a percentage of the person's emolument or income. Then there will be no need to keep revising it as things change, because then it is there, it is known. If your your emolument goes to this amount, we know the limit to which you can. Now again, in terms of that threshold, we need to look at it. Is it a perishable item or is not a perishable item? Because there are places where we say the minister may submit this, that. So again, we need to look at, I think there's a lot more work that needs to be done around the gift issue, so that. But the part that also excites me is the role of the chief directors. Now, these are technocrats, and in the Code of Ethics, it says clearly that they cannot be dismissed by the minister, which is what the public service, and that is why I think that it is important that our public service officers conduct themselves properly, because they keep making excuses about how they will be victimized by politicians, but clearly they are protected. And that is why these technocrats must act properly and impartially. So it says that the chief directors cannot be dismissed, and that they are supposed to provide technical advice to the minister at all times. Are our chief directors doing this properly?
Right.
Or they are simply looking for favors from politicians so that they can continue to stay there and get all, and because they are assured of a job for almost life. So for me, these are the things that our ministers must focus on, read this document properly, and ensure that they are abiding by it.
Right.
So I would want to encourage the new government and say that, look, this is an excellent piece. They should implement it so that 6 months from now we can continue to evaluate our ministers conducting the. But again, I just want to add this.
You chose
the fight against corruption is so important that I think that there are low-hanging fruits that this government can deal with.
Right.
Sedinam Tamekulu has already been found guilty. The chief executive of Maslock has been found guilty. I think the first thing the government must display is bring her into this country and put her into jail.
Right.
We must begin to be bold, because if the president says my second term of office is a no-nonsense term, this is one of the first things that they must do. They must bring Sedinam Tamekulu and put her in jail.
Very well. Thank you. Dennis, on the matter of the suspension of the CJ, Vincent Assafua's injunction being thrown out, and then your leader, who has been seen in a video allegedly attacking a police officer.
The temptation.
Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it.
I won't mind. I won't mind him. But what I would say is that they should focus on the job. Ghanaians are looking for solutions. Solutions to prevailing challenges.
I thought you said you fall for it.
Oh no. That's why I'm being very nice.
Oh, Dennis.
Solutions to prevailing challenges and difficulties, and save us the lamentations, the commentary, the rhetorics. It's almost becoming annoying whenever they are asked to deal with the situation. They are referencing the NPP. So Cocoa farmers say, give us a system. Oh, NPP didn't do this, didn't do this. Business people say, give us stable power. Oh, the NPP for 8 years didn't give you power. You know, young people say, give us job. Oh, the NPP did this. You know, it's like I keep saying, let's give time. But I mean, we're not hoping for them to fail, because we are the crucial point in this country's development that if we are unable to at least consolidate the gains that we have made, and we have a rollback like they rolled us back between 2012 and 2016, because the first term of the Mahama administration, we all remember, we haven't forgotten. Let me remind you, when Mahama left office, His Excellency left office in 2017, people said NDC are good. You recall?
People are saying same now.
Yes. That's why when he said, that's why when he said that, look at him and I nod my head. Because we know you. We know,
Even there, you have the experience.
So they should calm down and they should be nicer to us. They need to transit quickly from opposition to power and realize that, listen, we are paying you with our taxpayers' money.
Dennis, let's move on to the CJ issue.
Oh, but why are you gagging me? Why are you telling me? You remember he told you can't tell him what to say, and he's happy you are. You know, he will speak up for me.
Let's move on.
So they should be nicer to the people of this country and understand that there is serious business to handle, and stop running around all these things. I mean, he put out a lot of misrepresentations. I don't want to call it falsehood, and I want to state this for the last time and state it forcefully. If you merge a ministry, you have insignificantly reduced cost. You've done nothing. That is fact. If you appoint Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah as Minister for Information, you have not in any way necessarily burdened the state. The reason is that Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah is already taking his accommodation allowance, his fuel allowance, his all these allowances from Parliament. It is not duplicated.
But does he get extra when he goes to the
2,000. That's what I've told you.
It makes a difference.
Oh, I mean, that's why I use the word insignificant. It is not enough to pay for no
You said
space
2% makes a significant difference.
But this is not even 2%. And this is fact.
Yeah.
You see, council, sometimes I don't want to put out certain things too, because he's my friend. It is completely falsehood. If anybody tells you that the savings from merging the ministries they've merged is going to give you 500 million, it's not true. It's not true, and I can challenge him to it. And I'm saying that for fact because I know the difference. He doesn't know it. He hasn't done it yet. He knows. He can't challenge me rather than he has done it. He hasn't done it yet. He hasn't done it, and it's not up to 500 million. If you want, we'll go and do it next week. We'll put up. Rather, there's no betting tax. We'll put up a bet. If I win, because it's false. It's not true, and I've explained. I've already explained it all to you. So he should stop that. Now, on the matter of the CG, last week I told you that it is part of their social contract. The social contract, there is written and unwritten. One of the unwritten social contracts was when the president told us on TV that they cannot fix the perceived mess in the judiciary with the same CG. Then he told his, and for me, there has never been any reckless statement than this statement that the president made, and I'll have it on video. He says that, you know, currently the Supreme Court and our judiciary and our bench is, you know, made up of too many political people, partisan people, you know, people who have seen doing politics and political individuals appointed to the place. And so my encouragement is that for you NDC lawyers, you should be ready and prepared to be elevated to the bench. It's on TV. Then you come to.
But for politics, will this have been a bad statement?
No, but for the implementation, it wouldn't be a bad statement. But for the implementation, but for the implementation, yes, it is wrong. There is everything wrong with the president.
It's wrong.
Saying that we need to balance out. Yeah. We need to balance out the bench because I think that the bench is political. Then within 118 or 17 days, you appoint 7.
Nominates.
No, you nominate 7. Do I take it that these 7 people are your NDC judges to balance the NPP judges? You see, that is what we are doing to the judiciary. Because right now, as I sit here, if you take my case to the court and I lose, and I see the 7 people in there, can I simply come out and say that this is the 7 aside? You know when we are playing small post, 5 aside. This is the 7 aside. You see the way they used to call the Supreme Court judges unanimous FC. This time the team is 7 aside. They are playing small post. Can I simply say that? That is what they have done to the judiciary. And it's not a joke. They have hurt the judiciary. Appointed 7 judges, there is nothing wrong with it. You have breached no law. But having said in opposition that you think that the bench is made up of political people and it's time for the NDC lawyers and judges to be ready, to be elevated. And then within 117 days, you appoint 7. What you have done is that you have tainted these 7 judges. What you have told us is that these are your 7 NDC judges to go and balance at the Supreme Court. I didn't say it. He said it. The last time our judiciary was attacked in this manner was in 1982. The only difference between this and that one was that one was bloody. My grand auntie, Cecilia Cranton, who was feeding her baby, was dragged out of her home and got lost till date. So this is a very serious matter. And we are only hoping that the president, at least in his address today, would apologize for those reckless statements he made in opposition. It is within your right to appoint as many judges as you want by our laws. It is within your right. But right now, what you have done is that you have told us that the judges you have brought are NDC judges. They are going to balance out your so-called NPP judges. And I'm happy that for the first time in 8 years, the Ghanaian people have been saved attacks on judiciary for the first time.
Very well.
Because the Supreme Court, don't rush me, you gave him time.
Our time is up.
The Supreme Court gave a ruling for the first time.
Our time is up.
The Supreme Court gave a ruling for the first time, and nobody is attacking the Supreme Court. Nobody is calling the Supreme Court corrupt. Nobody is calling the Supreme Court partisan. Nobody is calling the Supreme Court names. But in this country, from the president of the day to all his cabinet ministers, they call these same judges corrupt. They call these same judges puppets of Akufo-Addo. They call these same judges unanimous FC, meaning that they have no minds of their own. No MPP person will do that. We believe that the courts are fair. I don't even think that the 7 judges that His Excellency the President have appointed are going to be unfair, even if they are approved. Because you see, if you commit murder and you are taken to court, murder will be proven and you will be jailed. If you haven't committed murder and you are taken to court, even if you are Hamza's wife, you can't jail me, and you don't like me, you can't jail me.
Well.
Because you will not be using any different set of rules. My prayer,
unfortunately, Hamza,
my prayer is that
Mahama, which is not accurate.
My prayer is that. Oh, can I? No, please.
Please.
If you say it, I'll also come in. My prayer is that. Oh, why you? When I wanted to supply you with information, you can't supply any information on Mahama. My prayer is that, at least, the way we are behaving as an MPP group without attacking the judges, even though they are ruling against us, they will keep the same energy.
Amen.
For the first time, he says we should go to court.
Amen.
We will go to court. But eventually, when they lose, they should not attack them and send them.
Amen. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
No, you can't do that. You can't do that.
We didn't allow them to do that. We know the story about the meeting with NDC lawyers. Unfortunately, our time is up. No, they were not. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Michael, Dennis, Hamza, thank you so much. This has been the news review here on Breakfast Daily. Stay with us on the show. We have a lot more for you.